Hi, Gail.
Good evening, Jim. How are you?
Well, okay, I think.
Yeah.
Beautiful day and all of that. Out picking strawberries today in Hadley. The strawberries aren't very good this year, unfortunately,
Oh, darn it.
but and they're not plentiful either. It took me a long time just to fill up a big box of them. So, anyway, um, I received your I've been studying the attachments you sent, and the links attached to them. And I didn't know whether you were open or wanted me to edit them in any way. 'Cause I wasn't sure. So, but I threw in a bunch of edits, but if that wasn't appropriate or useful, then just throw them out, and, um, uh, but I was working on that this afternoon, about the time when Graham called, and we were discussing matters of great importance, of course.
Yes. Yeah. So when it comes to that, I'm feedback is welcome. It's only a document that's shared between me and Sheld to keep track of our process.
Well,
So
yeah, I meant those links, the links that are going to be sent, like the letter to the subscribers.
oh, I say. I welcome edits. I'm working on it with the marketing manager at Shell.
Right. Okay.
So, if you find typos and things, sure,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay,
I'll take it.
Okay, I didn't want to barge into something because I wasn't quite sure whether you were inviting any edits or not. But I did put some in, and maybe, and once I read them again, maybe there's something else that'll turn up. But at any rate.
Great. Yeah, I got some good reply. Just about all of our broadband friendly people said yes so far.
Yeah, I can't imagine they would say. A question about that: does our Crown Castle connection have to be in place in order for this to happen early in the month, of July?
It does, and that's actually a red flag that I found out about today.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, so I'll talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about ARPA money, right? And anything that we might be able to use it for, because I have something that we could it's a bit of a long shot, and but the ARPA money is after all was specifically targeted for broadband infrastructure, connectivity, and all the rest of that stuff. Whereas some of the things that people are using ARPA for, towns like Hadley, for example, are pretty questionable. But whatever. But there's no question about that. Anything that we spent on any use that we made of ARPA money for Shutesbury, related to Shutesbury Broadband, would be easily acceptable, I think, to all to the folks who are watching over how ARPA money is spent.
Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Okay.
Are we expecting Craig?
I think so. I didn't hear a no from him, so we'll just give him one more minute and then we'll start.
Can we possibly work out some sort of a carpool arrangement for our trip to Sheld?
Oh, good thought. I'll put that on the agenda.
Okay. Seeing how at least three of us are within walking distance of each other here. Anyway, just a thought. I didn't want to forget that one.
Great. I'm adding it to other business now. We'll do it right at the end.
We
Okay.
don't know how far Steve could walk.
He's pretty hardy. He can walk a long way.
Yeah. And that also is election day, so we have to cast a ballot as well at the town hall.
Yeah, it might work out well where, we convene at the town hall, do the vote, and then we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
get in the bus and go down.
That sounds like a great idea.
There you go. That might be the rendezvous spot.
So Jim, are we gonna buy a bus for for broadband with the ARPA money? Is that your?
Oh, good
Well,
idea.
it hadn't occurred to me, but.
We could do it. All right. Well, let's get started. I don't know if Craig's coming, but he might be doing summer stuff, or well, it's after the end of the semester. But anyway, we can get started. So as usual, first item of business is approving the previous meeting minutes from, oh, help me out, Jim, here. There's May 18th. May 18th. Yep.
So moved.
Second,
Great. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay. Hut report.
No, actually, I tried to go, I looked at Simply Safe this morning to see whether Sheld had been in the hut yet, or what might have happened, and I couldn't get any videos. I guess I'll try it again. But the camera, the live camera worked, but it just showed all this sort of like so whenever anyone was in the hut, it just showed every minute it tried to download a video, but it tried to record a video, but it had some problems. So not sure what was going on there. It seemed to be something that Simply Safe was doing. So and the hut was in good shape. Other than that, the temperature is set for summertime, and the HVAC is adjusted to now do cooling, of course, as opposed to automatic, which is what I think I keep it on in the wintertime, so that it only so it never bothers to heat the hut up, because there's just no point heating it up at nighttime. Yeah. So, and skipping on to the service summary for May from Tim Otto, 31 tickets in total. 16 of them were administrative requests. There's a little more seasonally for summer, people turning things on and off, and going away and discontinuing and whatever. So more than half of them were administrative requests. And then there were 6 voice over IP problems and 9 internet problems. People mostly talking about slow internet. I looked at the VoIP problems, the phone problems, particularly just to see, because a few weeks ago, the voice over IP, I think I said, I know Gail knows, I mentioned that phones were dropping.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
It was an actual problem. Crocker found the issue, fixed it, but I'm not surprised that we have
Yeah, and it turned out to be the fix was reset routing functions, which call routing functions, which phone systems have forever had call routing systems, so that you move you move conversations to optimum sort of pathways. Various things are optimized. Sometimes the expense of the circuit is optimized to find the cheapest routing, sometimes to find, so anyhow, they had obviously set some of their routing functions not very optimally, because suddenly everybody's or a bunch of phones were dropping calls, including my own. So it's 911 calling, and it's voice service. The speed with which they identified the problem suggests that it was pretty obvious that they had something suboptimally set, some circuit that was saturating and just filling up, and calls were dropping. So anyhow, they fixed it pretty quickly. So,
Graham, what is the date on that repair?
I think it was the 8th of June, maybe, right around there.
June 8th, okay.
Yeah. So, so anyhow, that wasn't happening in May. There weren't any people calling in with voice over IP phone dropping out. So yeah, there was something that had happened and is now not happening. Yeah, not much else. The internet problems seem, pretty much the standard mix. People saying that intermittent, or just a few people saying things were slow. So I'm optimistic that Sheld will be able to monitor things like that in a way that Crocker didn't seem to be able to, so.
You mean like suss out the problems better when someone says slowness?
Yes, if I said to Sheld that my internet seems to be sluggish, at certain times of the day, can you look into that? They can actually set what used to be called traps. Well, they're still called traps, probably. That actually monitor your connection for the next 24 hours or a couple of days, and it flags problems to them.
Okay.
It didn't seem like Crocker ever was able to offer that. I know that Sheld can. So
Great.
And it also seems to me that on the telephone issue, we're getting now where Shell outsources that to Deep River,
Big River.
Big River. And they said, well, we outsource that because the telephone switches are expensive and they're complex. Technology is better to let somebody handle that to specialize in that field. So I thought, well, that's certainly like a sensible answer. We'll have to see how it actually works out. But
it's pretty compelling. UMass does that now, and they have 30,000 subscribers. They have a lot of subscribers. So they used to do it themselves.
Yeah. Who's handling the UMass?
I don't know, but I know that they've subbed it out. So
it's outsourced. Yeah.
Yeah, and we used to have a telephone department that did it. So.
Yeah, Graham, I was wondering if you could, this is not an urgent thing, but sometime over the next couple of months, could you write out for me the just a brief summary of the maintenance tasks that you do in the hut and how to do them? I want to make sure that we get them into our manual. I'm thinking of just legacy here of making sure that all of our stuff isn't in our four brains.
Yep.
Along those lines, I want to let all of you know that today Steve and I met to go over some financial stuff, and the big manual for the hut from United Concrete is in our drawer at the town hall, and in the front cover of that manual is the master key for the hut. Okay, so
there is a mechanical key, right? Oh.
Yeah,
right.
It's been sitting in my desk for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
It's probably a better place for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's something that a few of us will need to remember because including maybe the fire chief. So
yeah, and we told Becky about it too, so it's there.
Yeah.
And anything else about the hut?
No, nothing else. It looks good sitting there.
Great.
No.
Steve, financials.
Okay. Well, again, as I always preface this is according to my calculations in my spreadsheet. Our current balance is $89,065.
Once again, you dropped out.
89,965. I've got approximately $30,000 in bills to be paid before the end of the fiscal year. but we've got another payment coming in from Crocker before the end of the fiscal year of about 40,000. So I'm projecting unless something, radical happens in the next 2 weeks, we should end the year with about $100,000 that will be in our retained earnings. And so that can be used as the basis for our fiscal year 24 emergency reserve fund. I'm projecting this emergency reserve going forward because since the money is in the retained earnings is sort of locked up for a period of time, but when we have two chunks, each year you can use one or the other. So I would say we're in very good shape financially and projecting forward for several years. So one other interesting thing that Graham made me think of, Graham, we got the bills for the poll bonds. And I just happened to be from the insurance company that provides this bond. And I just happened to be looking at the bills, and where it has type of bond, it says cable TV poll attachment. And I thought, yes, that's what Graham was talking about, that this whole poll bond thing was an outgrowth of the cable TV industry. And
Totally.
utilities wanted this bond in case a cable TV company went belly up. And so that's what the insurance company has it listed. That's their category for this type of bond.
Yeah.
All the more reason to for us not to pay it if we can't figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, we've already gone toe. We've already gone
Yeah, I
toe to
know.
toe with them on
I
this.
know.
Tried.
We definitely, the what are the cable
Yeah, the
utility.
DC, TTP or whatever.
DTC,
it's-
they sided with all the friggin' buddies and
Well, maybe we can get Peter Dorico to work on this, because if
No.
anybody knows
He-
the right
he
legal
was just- he
language
was-
to throw at them.
he was just sitting in the wings, hoping that we
Yeah.
succeeded, but he
Yeah,
didn't.
well, I'll ask him. I'll ask Peter. whether he wants
Don't
to-
even bother him. He'll just laugh.
I mean,
Yeah, well, if he wants to, if he wants to see the 250-page document that the Verizon lawyers sent back saying, this is why we're not going to do this.
I'll mention it to him. I'll see what he says.
Good Lord. Yeah.
But I mean, we put up a good fight, and
Yeah, we did our best.
so, but I was just interested to see that. I said, yeah, cable TV, that's what this is all about.
And as I've almost facetiously mentioned, that we didn't require a bond for them to take away their telephone cables, which will be pretty soon obsolete and junk, so.
Yeah.
So Steve, are we paying this? This is a bill that we're about to pay, or we're wondering whether it's going to come through, or what's the status of it?
It's in process for being paid.
Oh, it's in process. Okay.
Yeah.
Can someone remind me, maybe Gail, you remember how many people are on, or roughly what percentage of the town is Eversource?
About 50 out of 1,500 polls.
Only 50. Oh, okay. Oh, does that mean no one actually gets Eversource power in Shutesbury?
No.
No, some people get it.
Craig's neighborhood
Okay.
by Atkins Reservoir.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because
A
it's
little
fed.
pocket down there.
Yeah, it's fed either from Amherst or Leverett.
Okay, right. But it's only 15 polls.
No,
No,
50, 50.
50.
50.
That makes better sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yep. Thanks. That's for the other committee, ECAC. A lot of the things that we'll do with National Grid. It's interesting to know if some people in Shutesbury will not be involved in those.
That's that January Hills Road and the smaller roads that run off of January Hills Road.
Okay, yeah.
Are the Eversource. And
Okay, that's what I kind of vaguely thought that.
yeah, because that stretch of Shutesbury, that part of Shutesbury, you have to, by road, you have to go through a stretch of road in Amherst to get to it down by Atkins Reservoir.
Very good.
Yep. And speaking of polls, just as an aside, so for WIM's new polls, I finally did get a response from National Grid, and they basically said, yeah, that we can't do anything until there's active electricity. You can't apply, you can't do anything. So unfortunately for WIM, that means he needs to wait for that the part that he was waiting for, that has to get put in, the electricity has to be live, and then he has to wait months and months for our application to be approved.
All right.
So
What is this, Gail?
the
At the 9
On-
polls, yeah.
yeah, seven poles on Wendell Road for
Oh,
that new construction.
oh, okay, yeah, down by you, Graham. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there's hard to get meter sockets is the issue for power meters. So don't let anything happen to your power meter.
40-week backlog. I can't
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah,
Oh.
astounding.
All right. So anything else, Steve?
no,
Okay.
as Gail said, I'm turning the day-to-day financial work over to Gail. So, but we will work together on this as needed. So,
Yeah, definitely. Steve did a great job of handing me over all the information, and it all came back to me a little bit about how it all works from 2 years ago. So I think we'll be fine there. And Steve, thank you for all of your work over the last 2.5 years to manage all that. It's a big job and a lot of responsibility. So thank you.
you're welcome.
And thanks for not running off with the funds. You could
Yeah, you could have gone to Tahiti or something.
Yeah.
move to the Cayman Islands with all the money.
Or bought cryptocurrency. There was a good investment.
Terrible idea.
Gambled with the crypto.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yeah. All right. So our transition. So things are going okay. The one little snag is that Bobby Liswell, the general manager there, who is heading up this, had a 2-week jury duty appointment at
2 weeks.
Superior Court. He was stuck in jury duty for 2 weeks. After the whole thing was over, the judge called the whole jury pool in and said, "I'm so sorry, everyone. This is the worst run trial we've ever seen. We're so sorry." Anyway, but he was out for 2 weeks. Luckily, it kind of coincided with some of my vacations. So we're trying to get back on track. He did hand off critical things to Holyoke Gas and Electric while he was away. Everything is going okay, except for the backhaul. Crown Castle kind of does their thing on it.
They're critical, aren't they?
They are critical. They are critical. Our order has been put into Local Links, which is the old Axia, which is the old MBI. And so that is in process. No real problems there to get that done by July. But we do have a little problem with Crown Castle where the date that they're giving is August 17th.
Wow.
So on Monday, Holyoke and Sheld are going to meet, and they're going to come back to me with the proposals about how we can work this. One of them is just pushing Crown Castle, seeing if they can get a better date for that. There's nothing we can really do about it right now, but they're going to see if there's, like I said, a way to push Crown Castle to get it sooner, and contingency plans for that backhaul. So yeah, that's where we are with that.
Are some of them making that phone call or pushing that? Because it might be something that can be, escalated, or, I mean, everyone's short of manpower and stuff like that, but, one could pay overtime, or, somehow or other, it might be worthwhile finding out exactly what is the issue. Is that something falling to Sheld or
Holyoke Gas and Electric is doing it. They're the I don't know, broker for it, and so I trust them implicitly. So they're doing that. The other suggestion I've given is we could pay an extra month of a more with local links, right?
Mhm.
To get us through that. We might have a little 2-week stretch when we don't have a backup, which does not thrill me, but Holyoke is going to look into other solutions for backup. Anyway,
Nah.
there's nothing we can do about it now. They're
Yeah.
doing their best to move that forward, and I'll have more information by next Wednesday.
Okay, and the other thing to consider is that the 10 gig comes into one federal. So you know, if I don't know what the situation of Crocker's little room and HG&E's presence in that building, or HGE's presence, but you know how the cable goes over the wall, they could, you know, they might be able to just move the 10 gig there, and it could come in from one federal on HGE for a while. But, you know, I'll bet they've got possibilities of.
Yeah, we're looking at all solutions. I have a meeting with Crocker immediately scheduled after the meeting with Sheld next week. So if there's any conversations that have to happen between them, they can happen right away.
Yeah.
They can, you know, we can just stay on the phone with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah. I mean, is a possibility, I know this would not be what we want to do, but to continue Crocker's, to postpone the transition by a month and continue with Crocker for an additional month.
Well, unfortunately, their Crown Castle contract runs out. So, so I, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like plan C or D, is like get Crocker to beg Crown Castle, like, hey, can we just get a 1-month extension here on the
For these
contract?
people that are ditching us.
Yeah. So it's, again, that's like plan C or D. I
Yeah.
think there's some plan Bs that could work in the interim. I have already asked Crocker if, you know, it only takes about a month turnaround time to increase bandwidth for an existing contract with local links, but our equipment is only, or their equipment is only suited for a gig connection. It's not enough. So we can't just say, hey, Crocker, you know, for 1 month, order us 10 gigs. That'll serve our town. It'll get us through to Crown Castle. Nope. It's gonna, it requires the installation of more equipment. So anyway, like I said, we've been talking about this a lot. I'll come back next. Yeah.
Is that the gear that's at the town hall in the,
Yes.
the town hall?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's limited to
Yeah.
a gig of pipeline there. So, yeah. It's not emergency yet. You know, it's not gonna, you know, push back our rollout. I have a lot of faith that they're going to find a solution for us. And yeah, we'll chase down every possibility.
Yeah, and mention to HGE that, you know, we could have some transition budget if something has to be done temporarily.
Oh yeah. This is definitely a throw money at the problem if we have
overtime
to
or you know, on
Yes.
And you know, if HGE has to configure things temporarily, like I said, they may be not very far away from the room that Crocker's in, and that could be, as we know, cables just run over walls in that dinky little place.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
In other news, the customer messaging went out. You all probably got it. You know, saying like, hey, this transition's happening. You also got an email from me asking about friendlies to participate in that. So far, good response. The FAQ website is up. The Shutesbury Web Committee helped get that up. So all that's good. Steve, you asked a question about the E91 procedure, to make sure that all addresses go with the numbers when they get ported. And so from Big River, I'm getting the kind of policy and procedure for how do you Big River make sure that this happens, that every single phone number matches the address exactly. So I'll follow up on that.
Is there an FAQ thing for Big River? Someone asked me the other day whether they will be able to dial up their voicemail dial into their voicemail system to get, that's what I thought. Okay. Very cool.
They do. That's something that Crocker could never offer that actually Big River does.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That'll make a few people
A
happy.
few people
when they-
happy. A few people happy.
And Gail, one thing I'm thinking a little bit more about E911. I recall from the meeting that we had with Sheldon and HE and Big River people were there also. I recall that Big River subs that E911 connection out to yet another company that specializes in that. So, so you're just asking them, okay, how do you do this? That's good. That's what we want to know. But it'd be interesting to see what role that other Big River subcontractor plays in that.
Yeah. The end result. I don't care who does it. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure like
Exactly.
are
Yeah.
all of these matching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Steve, it's because E911 has to meet an even higher standard and a tighter standard, and therefore you don't want it's a specialized sort of a service, and that's and the people who do it are absolutely bulletproof, and so
I thought it was good that they had
Yeah.
found somebody that specialized in that.
yeah, it's a real thing. I mean,
All right. In other decisions we need to make, it's our annual revisitation of our $250 reconnection fee. We revisit this about every June. And so far, it seems to be working in the way that in May of 2021, 3 people had to pay a reconnection fee. In April of 2022, 1 person had to pay, and in May 2022, 1 person had to pay as well. So what this tells me is that people are keeping their service and not letting it lag. Either landlords are getting renters in pretty quickly, or they're, paying the interim fees to avoid this. We're not having people turning on and off service. So I don't want to, what is that? Correlation is not causation. I can't say, well, this is what's doing it, but, we're not having what we were trying to avoid, which is people turning off service for just a couple of months and then turning it back on. So open discussion. Should we keep this going as a policy of the 250? Should we reduce it? Should we get rid of altogether? Any thoughts?
Now, the 250 fee that is billed to the customer, currently Crocker gets $49.95 of that. And we get $200.05. Is our contract with Shell the same in that standpoint, that they would charge a $49.95 reconnection fee?
No, their reconnection fee is, one moment. Well, I only have a reconnection fee after seasonal suspension, which is going to be $17.25. So I suspect it's also about that for a shelled reconnection.
I think it's a successful policy initiative that we were going to revisit if there was problems. It doesn't seem like there's any problems, and it's, there are a few people having to pay it, but it's not, doesn't sound like it's a big hill of beans to most. So
yeah. Now, should we reduce it, since the calculation for that $200 was us saying, well, if somebody's disconnected, how much of the MLP fee should they pay? And our MLP fee is about $50, and it's 4 months and 200. So that's how we arrived at that figure. So should we reconsider that now that our MLP fee is going out down to $38?
I'd say, why don't we reduce it to 150, and we would get, what was that, 17?
Yeah, 17 and change.
Yeah, so we would get one we'd get 130 some.
Mhm.
So 150 minus 1750. So we get 132.50. Fee of 38 a month times 4, 152. How about maybe 175?
Second.
Do I hear 180? No, okay, 175.
Of which-
Okay,
Yeah, so 175, whoops. Of which Shell gets, say, 17. Whoops. And we
Why
end
not
up with-
just,
Yeah, and we end up with 157, which is a little over 4 months of our fee.
why not just keep it at 250? Which, I mean, that's an amount that it sort of it sort of poses a deterrent essentially. And if you make it lower, then people may start to use it more. And I don't know, I'm just speculating at this point. I would favor not changing it since it seems to be working so well as it is right now. But anyway, just a suggestion.
how about this? Let's hold on that conversation of
Yeah.
actually like voting on this and talk
Mhm.
about the next sister item of this, which is
Ah.
the seasonal suspension fee.
Uh,
Because, so right now here, I'll read you our policy. So, if you want to suspend your internet right now, it costs $50 a month for internet only suspended service, or $58.95 for suspended bundle. So internet plus phone, and that allows you to hold your phone number. And we have this fee in place to, of course, give people the option to avoid that $250 or whatever penalty fee. So for a suspended service, $5 of that $50 goes to Crocker, 45 to the MLP. And for the bundle, $45 goes to the MLP and $13.95 goes to Crocker. So the new policy, which is going to be for Sheld, is that Sheld is going to charge $9.99 per month to subscriber to for the bundle customers. So less than Crocker. The catch is though, when they reconnect, so they call up and they say, okay, I'm ready to get my service again, they charge that $17.25. But so that's only one time, right? If your service was suspended for a year or 2 months, it's still going to be $17.25. Internet only suspension is the same as what Crocker was, $5 plus whatever the MLP charges, which is currently $38. So what we're looking at is $43 a month for seasonal suspension for internet only, and $48 a month for internet plus phone suspension.
We should be reducing we're reducing our regular MLP fee from 52 to 38.
Yes.
So-
I'm saying those numbers are with a reduction. So,
Oh, okay.
so if internet plus phone suspension is our $38 plus $9.99, which is what Sheld is going to cost, so it's $48.
But that's
Okay, so the
costing them
proposal
more.
would be adjust, yeah,
we-
to it.
So we're getting 45 now on the suspended MLP fee. But the regular MLP fee is dropping by 14.
Yes. So the question is, what is our MLP fee going to be with a suspension? That
Right.
math I just gave you is charging the full thing, $38. Do we want to drop it down to 30, 35, whatever we want? Sheld says they can do whatever.
And yeah, I mean, I worked on this and I would say 30.
Mhm.
And then, so a customer would pay 35.
Correct, 35 for
Wait.
internet only and 40, sorry, 40 for the bundle suspension.
And so a customer pays 35 for a suspended internet service, of which we get 30 and Shell gets 5.
Correct.
So we'd still get most of an MLP monthly fee, which makes sense because the lines have to still be preserved. The only thing the customer is not using is data from Crown Castle. You know, they're getting all the other, you know,
All right.
yeah, everything else has to be fixed.
Yeah. So how does everyone feel about that, of our suspended MLP rate being $30 instead of 38? And so that makes a nice even 35 and 40 that the customer pays when you add the shelled costs on top of that.
Sounds good to me.
It's 35. So we're proposing reducing it from 30 to 35 and 40. I'm just trying to get all this down.
Sure.
And it's now what?
Yeah, maybe you should just like send us this as a thing, that what it was and what, because your proposals are fine.
Yeah. Jim, don't worry about capturing this right after the meeting. I'll send you a paragraph that
There you go,
captured all, but for our purposes right now, we just need to kind of agree and vote on it. So do we have consensus about the $30 MLP fee for suspended folks? I'm seeing some nodding. Jim?
I suppose so. It's just such a small amount of money. We're going to a lot of trouble. I just question whether it's necessary to do it at all. But
Yeah, well, I think it is, we have to have some kind of suspended policy, because otherwise it puts our, I'm just going to call them customers, in a bad position of like, what do they do in the off season? They you know, they either have to pay this huge 250 or
Oh, no,
175 fee.
I agree with the overall concept, but why change it? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Because the amounts that we're talking about making these adjustments are pretty small. And I don't know, I just wonder if it's really necessary to do this at all.
But since we're reducing the MLP fee for the active customers, didn't reduce it for the suspended customers, they could end up paying more than if they just kept going.
Yeah, now it makes sense to reflect the current MLP fee. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, no,
I don't think we can have our suspended people pay more than regular customers. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And we don't want it to be nothing, because I don't want to pay for their MLP fee. While
We definitely want to charge them something.
Yeah.
Jim, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just, it's bringing out my conservative, don't make changes kind of. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I like the other opinions.
Yeah, well, and it affects, I guess, a pretty small number of people, and it's and it's there for a deterrent. You know, I mean, to try to get people not to have to, make use of these sort of rather esoteric situations, such as suspension. You just want people to just keep on plugging along, without any. I mean,
Right.
that's what you would like to see.
Yeah, we want everyone to contribute a fair amount to their share of the MLP fee.
Mhm.
So that's what we're trying to do through this. So all right, so now that we've got kind of a general consensus on that, let's go back and talk about the reactivation fee of that. Steve proposed 175. The current is 250. We could, keep it. We could keep it very high at 250, and to act as a further deterrent for people to shuffle them towards doing suspended service instead of turning service off. The thing I think that this only hurts is landlords and those type of people who may have an apartment empty for more than 90 days, and then their poor renter comes in, try to reconnect, and then there's this enormous fee to get going again. But again, the number of customers who are turning on and off their service is super low. It's been used 4 times total since May 2021 in a year.
Let's do it as an experiment, $175 for the next year. And if it's a disaster, then we could back it up to 250.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Anyone else?
I proposed it, so obviously I'm.
Yeah.
You haven't changed your mind. Good, Steve.
No. Jim, can you live with this?
Oh, yes, no problem. I'm just.
Okay.
Great. All right. Yeah. And again, if we'll watch this, if over the next year we see it, this fluctuating, we can certainly change it. So, all right. So 175 for the over 90 days and $35 and $40 for our seasonal suspension.
And Gail, if you just send that to Jim, because you understand what it was and what it will be, and that.
Yep. I'll just make a space for me for a paragraph, Jim, and I'll send that
Okay,
tonight.
great. Okay.
Very cool.
All right. All right. Only other things I have on the agenda is talking about those ARPA funds and setting up our carpool for the agenda. Does anyone else have anything else we need to cover? No? Okay. Let's talk about ARPA. So I emailed Becky about it, and just to get her read on like how much of this money is going to be gone after. Is there going to be leftovers? And she thinks that all of it is going to be used by other town departments. And the reason I asked her was because is this kind of a use it or lose it situation? And we don't want it to go unused. We can definitely find a way to use this but she said that it's lots of town departments are going to go after this and need it. We in the kind of the greater scheme of things, we don't need it. And it sounds like other departments in town could really use it. So I'm kind of inclined to let them, if they have a higher need than us, it's all town money, right? And so if it's gonna lower our taxes, I'm like, great, have another department use it. But Jim,
don't hold your breath on that.
we're not.
Jim,
Yeah.
you had a thought though.
Yeah, Jim, what do you think?
All right. It's $530,000 is what the ARPA money consists of. Being on the finance committee, I'm well aware of this. The, any request that we make is far more likely to be approved by the state and federal authorities, because that's what ARPA money was intended to do, to support broadband infrastructure and equipment and whatever you wanted to use it for broadband. I mean, it's there right in plain sight if you read the original statements about how, what this money was to be used for. And since then, there's been a lot of like funny business going on, and towns are trying to use it just to prop up their budgets and do all sorts of things, which may or may not fly with the feds when the time comes. But we certainly have a right to it. And we probably, more than any other department in town, have the best basis for, for grabbing some of it. And I can think of one thing that would probably consume maybe $20,000 that I would like to see used. And this is to connect somebody who has a long underground run in Shutesbury. And this one person I finally convinced should connect to the internet, because, well, for a whole variety of reasons I won't get into, but I would like, this is what I think we could use the money for. And if we can get the money and connect up to this person, then I think that would be terrific.
How long is long, Jim?
Yeah, that's a long span.
3,500 feet with the trenching machine.
3,500.
Well, that's a guess. It's not precisely measured.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
Maybe we could get
Through the woods? Through the woods, is it?
No, it's on a dirt road.
Okay. Do they have utilities currently?
No, this isn't well, they have electricity, but it's solar. It's solar driven.
Right, but they have no utility poles or anything.
No utility poles, no. It's,
we considered this person back
yes, we did.
design. Yeah. I think we all know who this is. I assume.
Yes, we all know who this is.
Yeah.
But
I thought they were not interested initially.
well, yes, in the past they haven't been, but things change. And personally, I am really concerned about the health of one of those two individuals, and there may be a very pressing need for online medical stuff that that will keep this person going. And I mean, I can foresee things that they can't foresee right now, but they are open to it. I've discussed it with them. And if it's a possibility and we could do it, then I think we should do it with this ARPA money. So it won't cost us a cent. It will put one more person, probably, the most expensive installation that the town will ever have. But still, but the federal money is there, and it's supposed to be there for that purpose. So that's what I would recommend doing. Maybe we could get Surtex to estimate it, because I assume that with their trenching machine, all the rest of it, that they would be the one. I'd be glad to work with them and show them what's required and all that kind of stuff, and put time into this if necessary. So that's my proposition.
Yeah,
You'd probably you'd want to handhold every 200 feet or so 300 feet.
Yeah, the challenge I see with this is that I don't know if it could be a micro trench situation, because if we is it a driveway or is it a town road?
It's actually a sort of a town road or a county road.
Okay, so the problem with this is that we can't micro trench on a town road. Yeah. Because whenever it needs to get graded or fixed.
But this road will never be graded by the town. And I think this issue has been looked into, and it really, because the road in question runs over MDC land. And as far as I know, this would be double checked, of course, the MDC has no problem with a micro trench running up the center of this road. Because there's
Right.
nothing else in the road. at all.
Under road though, just for the point of view of reliability, you usually want to put it 24 inches under. So maybe their trenching, maybe their boring will do that, but usually that's a more expensive boring machine. So
Yeah, I mean, this is a discontinued county road is what it amounts to.
Yeah.
And I think we have pretty much free license to do whatever we want to, but this would have to be checked out. But it's a possibility that I think we ought to entertain.
I just say the concept here, I think this is good. The devil's in the details. It always looked like a complex place to deal with, and it still does. But the idea that we could connect the one last household in Shutesbury that we had not been able to connect because they didn't have utility connections before be able to do this. Yeah, I agree. This is what this money all about. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to look into our policy on this too, though, because the fact that they don't have existing utilities means that we're technically not obligated to connect them.
Yeah.
And so it would be going against our current policy that, basically saying like, we'll connect anybody that has existing utilities, and we're kind of changing that, say, well, we'll connect anyone who will, pay for it. I don't see any problem with that. So question about the ARPA funds, who decides, like, does it go through a town process first and the town decides what they're going to apply for, and then the whole town application goes to the federal government to get that money? Or is it just a direct application of, like, the town of Shutesbury, like everybody who's a department who wants the money applies directly to the government? Do you know what I mean? Like, does the town decide this first, or is it directly decided by the federal government?
No, I think the way it works is, well, first of all, it's the select board that is sort of, for some mysterious reason, why the finance committee isn't in charge of this, I don't know. But nevertheless, it's the select board that is collecting these requests, and I think they will put it together in some sort of a format or way, and then submit it to the state and federal authorities. I think that's the way it works. We're kind of on the low end of the totem pole anyway, because the amount of money that we're getting, which is about the same that Leverett is getting, which is 530 grand, isn't, by all the money that's in this whole program is hardly even chicken feed. But nevertheless, it's money that we need to find a way to spend, or the town needs to find a way to spend. Otherwise, they'll lose it, and we have another 2 years to do so. I think 2024 is when decisions will have to be made and requests will have to be made. But so it would go from us to the select board, and then the select board would collect all these things together and then try to sort through, if they can. And I don't know how much studying they've done of the actual program itself to see whether the requests are indeed legitimate ones, because there's a lot of fuzzy math going on here, as far as I can tell. But anyway, that's sort of the way it works.
Okay.
My understanding.
So if we want to pursue this, it sounds like perhaps step one is getting an estimate. Is my logic right here? Is that first step one is to get an estimate so we know what we're really working with?
Sure.
I think, and Jim, are you certain that these homeowners want it? Like,
Yes.
If they don't have to pay for it, they'll.
Yes, yes, and I mean, now, of course, I've offered to do all of the interior, all of the other
Mhm.
stuff, to get it working and everything. It's just a matter of getting it from the road to their home. And we should probably get an estimate. If would Surtex be the one who'd be doing the install? Do you
Well,
think,
we're
or-
in this weird place, right? Where we're about to switch
Yeah.
vendors, and Surtex would, after next month, they will no longer be doing installations. So this would actually be a Sheld thing, where Sheld
Mhm.
is going to need to give us the estimate to do it.
Okay, well, that I think that would be.
Yeah, so let me see if Bobby or another one of the technicians can get up there. What's the address, Jim?
Hmm.
I'll I can
Uh,
I can email we can email, and actually we need them to fill out a right of entry form.
Yeah, that, and I mean, it would probably be best if you could arrange it so that Bobby and I could meet, and then I could go through the whole thing, show them what the situation is, where the poles are on the street, and then where the, I mean, I would be very much up for contributing to providing information and guidance as to how this could happen. The address is, boy, I wonder what that address is.
It's I can look it up.
Macedonia. It might be Macedonia Road, because that's the road, in fact, that the house is on.
Yep. So
So-
just the steps of this. Step one, I need a right of entry form from them. So
I'll get
Jim,
that.
if I
Mhm.
will send you a blank form for the
Okay.
owners to fill out. Send that back to me electronically,
Mhm.
and then step two is I'll get Shell to get up there and do an estimate and hopefully meet you there, so
Yes.
you can explain the installation.
And me too, because
Okay.
you really, 3,500 feet, you really do want it bulletproof, because it's a very expensive repair if mice chew through it every 6 months, or if it's vulnerable. So I guess from the point of view of making sure that we're, that it should be buried in places where it's safe, and so
Oh, yes,
Yeah, it's true, because once this thing is built,
we own it and
we're
we repair it.
responsible for the maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
and 3,500 feet of fiber is not a trivial thing to repair. So yeah.
Mhm.
So Jim, we can coordinate, right?
Okay,
When,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, when we're looking at
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Great. So again, first step, right of entry form. Jim, I'll send it to you, sign it, get it back to me, and then I'll have Sheld start working on a coordination date for that, to do an estimate and meet you guys.
Okay, that sounds
Sound good?
Mhm.
Okay.
I used to be called by Temenos because I knew the people there.
Yeah.
Every
that's-
time their phone cable got stomped on or broken or whatever. So yeah. So
What
it's
about
one of these-
Temenos? Have they shown any?
No. In fact, that they're like, no, we don't want
Oh.
it. I mean, this was 3 years ago. They were absolutely like, no way. No, I don't know if things have changed.
Yeah, because that
It's a
did
retreat
cross my
center.
mind.
Silence, radio silence.
But the folks who run the retreat, they make use of the internet all the time in order to plan. People sending checks. I mean, the people who
Certainly.
want to get the service. So
They're a long
I
way
think,
away.
I think they would be delighted to have it, in that small little house that's right next to where the mineral spring is physically located, because I remember who's running the place. He was telling me he has to go to get cell phone coverage, and has to take a drive if he really wants to be able to collect any of this information, which is needed to run the place. So
We'd
but-
have to run on poles through Wendell, though, right? Maybe a mile of poles.
Well, the poles run to the start of, there are poles that actually, and there's an old telephone connection box that's right at the foot of the road that runs up to Temenos.
But that's
I
in
remember
the Wendell poles are involved.
No,
right?
actually, that's a Shutesbury pole.
Right, yeah, that pole, but there's a bunch.
it would have to come in from Wendell because,
It's got to come in
the
from
access.
Wendell, yeah. So there's another,
Mount Mineral
there's
Road
pole-
starts in Wendell, yeah.
Small attachments and would be third down the, well, yeah, so that could
Yeah.
be expensive there.
Yeah. well,
Verizon would need all their lines moved down and some poles would have to be replaced because they're pretty ratty old poles, some of them.
Well, actually, the poles are in very good shape and there's little or nothing on them except for a dead phone line. So there's not much there at all to, but some brush clearing would have to be done because things have grown in so much in the years when those poles were put in. But there are poles that go from the last house on Mount Mineral Road, which stems off of Jennison Road. And so I'm sure those folks have service and power and service. And then I would estimate there's probably 3 or 4 or maybe 5 poles that go from there to where the Monk's Cave is, as a matter of fact, right literally there at the start of the road that runs up to to the retreat.
Yeah.
But anyway, I walk there all the time. That's why I'm full of it. It's one of my favorite places to go. Is there anything else we could spend money on that equipment, anything that you could think of?
I've looked at kind of like our capital expense needs and they're just like, there's not a whole lot to that we need to buy. There might be some minor equipment things happening with the switchover, but nothing over like $5,000.
And the Leverett Shutesbury North Leverett Road connection equipment that was I remember we were talking about that.
Well, it's a moot point now.
Yeah.
That we're not going to be using their hut for a connection anymore.
Right.
So
is Leverett's Crown Castle connection comes, however, through Shutesbury, correct? Or through
the hut.
Through the hut and
Through
then,
our hut.
and then down North Leverett Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I did think about upgrading or proposing that we could buy a bunch of Wi-Fi 6 level fancier, whether Gigaspire or whatever, but new routers, because there'll be a whole bunch of people who will want to upgrade their routers to the newest and better convention, whether it be Gigaspire or something else that's Wi-Fi 6. No, I think that we could buy 200. We could propose buying 200 of them and see who wanted them. But I think that your argument or your logic, Gail, that says other people in town, other departments in town need the ARPA money more. I'm not worried that the select board will say something for ARPA money and the federal government will knock them back, because like you said, Jim, they've stretched in all sorts of directions what ARPA money gets used for. So I think I won't even propose buying 200 routers, but that would be the one piece of equipment that we could look at.
Well, maybe buy a few of them. The requests coming from other town departments may not be valid ones at all. A lot of people just think, well, free money, we can find a way to spend it. And I can think of several departments in the town, which I do not care to mention at this time, that would love to get their hands on the money. But the question is whether they will be able to or not. And that is where it ought to be spent on the school roof and ventilation systems and one thing or another, but it could be a tricky business.
The select board will mediate that though, won't they, Jim? And they'll know what.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll see what they, we'll see how they manage it, but.
I don't know, 100 Gigaspire or 100 Wi-Fi 6 routers. Anyone feel like, oh yeah, that's a great idea? Or I could go either way.
Well,
yeah, I'm not.
Maybe add it and see what happens, in other words, make it sort of semi-optional perhaps. I don't know. But I think they would like to have more than enough requests that went over the $530,000 estimate, rather than not having enough to get to it, because they do really have to come up with a way to spend this money that is legit. And that's where I think we have a very, very strong and powerful position that we ought to make use of.
All right, well, we'll start with looking into getting this, we'll call it the last mile connection.
What's the deadline? I've already forgotten. When do they want proposals?
I think it was July. I don't know if they actually set a date on it, but I'd have to.
I think there is a date.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I got the message from Becky, and I, along with others on the finance committee, and there was a date on it. I just don't. I think it was July, mid-July, but
I
think
that rings a bell. Yeah. So that's not too far away. To get an estimate on 3,500 feet of that would be, that'll take them a week of thinking about it after they've met with us. So
sure.
If you really want to get an estimate on that, a real estimate, which is what you really need, then. But yeah, 100 Wi-Fi 6 routers, you could throw $15,000 at that, right? If I've done 150 times by 100, sounds like 15.
Yeah, the only problem with that I see is then what, right? So then we have 100 router. Who gets them? How much do they pay for them? Can they pay for them because the government's already paid for them?
No.
Like I'm a little worried about getting a portion of them, and then
it's a little tricky, isn't it?
Opening up this whole can of worms of like, well, then what? Then then what do we do with it? We could make an argument for like, well, we'll outfit all of our institutions, like the library and the school, with these great routers. But what? That's like $500 to get them for these couple of places.
Yeah.
So I am not quite sure.
It'd be the library, the school's got a couple, and the town hall's got two. So maybe how about that? It'd be routers, upgrade routers for all of the for all of the institutions in town, which comes to I don't know how many routers are in the school, but it would be more than
I think it's
two.
actually only one.
Truly?
I think it's only one. Yeah.
Oh.
Running the whole thing.
Oh, because teachers can't do Wi-Fi in their classrooms. Wow.
No,
Okay.
no, they only. I mean, they have an old Ethernet set up and like switches set up in there, but I think it's all run off of one router.
Okay, the alpha router. Yeah. Okay. That's
Is this a higher quality router than we would be distributing to all our customers at the next upgrade?
Well, it might be the same.
This is the one. Yeah.
Well, then there wouldn't be any harm in our having them in stock. It's just fewer that we'd need to buy in a few years.
Yeah.
So we buy them now, buying a whole bunch now. In a few years when we upgrade, well, then they might be obsolete, or wouldn't be what we would be buying. There might be a newer model on.
Again, I'm
100
really,
boxes.
I'm wary about the storage. I'm wary about getting a portion of these, and then who gets them? What do you do with them? And I think that when we do the full upgrade for the town using our depreciation funds, it has to be an everybody all at once deal. If you want to do upgrades for our town institutions as part of this ARPA thing, I think that would be a fine add-on that we could do for town hall, fire station, highway department, school. But I just don't think getting like some random portion just to have is going to work out well for us.
Here's what I would suggest is we ask for 25 of them times by $150 if someone else does the math, but 25 of them, that would do every institution, and it would also leave a few on the shelf for someone for those situations where someone's having a problem and probably upgrading is the answer to
rolling upgrades.
Yeah, exactly right. And only on on a, or not, I don't want to say a nuisance basis, but some people just have more problems because of their, they've got concrete walls in their houses. I don't know, weird things. So 25. And when we call it an institutional upgrade, to the next, to the next level of router, which is really what our institutions all deserve and should have. I'm sure the select board would be all over that as enthusiastically. So.
Yep.
I did just look up Becky's email. The email to the select board request is due July 1st with the select board, and the meeting is the select board are meeting on July 5th to discuss this.
Yeah, I knew it was coming right up. I just got to turn something on. Yeah.
Okay, so that might be very tough to get a full-on estimate by that date. And also, I don't want to take resources away from Sheld doing this transition to do this estimate. It's really critical that Bobby focuses on this, but we'll still try. So Jim, let's get that right of entry. I'll see if he can get up there. I know that he's slated to visit the town hall sometime over the next 2 weeks to look at their phone system to see if we can get the town hall some savings there. And maybe he can swing by Macedonia on that date. Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
I got another thought here for this. Of course, it would be great to have a good, solid estimate that you can put in your request. But if you don't have it,
if we get down to the wire and we don't have it, we'll just
make something up.
Yeah.
Our own estimate.
Yeah,
I could throw a number at it.
Yeah. Bobby may be able to just, if we just fed him the actual facts about the length of the, the run, he maybe, they just may just have a per foot figure that they sort of generally go by. But I'm sure we can come up with some
we can come up with something by the deadline. We'll come up with something. Made me remember one other quick thing about routers. Graham, the U6 routers, I'm going to get invoiced for that.
Yes, and I did ask Bobby before he went into the court thingy, and he's got it on his queue. So
Great.
So
I'm going to get invoiced for that, and then I will turn around and invoice Meryl for that one that she got. Like we decided, all of you, you're testing them out for the MLP, so you don't have to pay out of pocket for them. But anyway, Graham, don't worry about the money part of it. I'll take care of it, and it all needs to go through the MLP. Sheld won't accept individual checks. So
No, that's
okay.
That's what I figured would. And Bobby said, once again, like you said, I didn't want to, add an administrative task to him when he was going and running around, doing what he's got to do right now for the rest of us. So my Wi-Fi 6 is working like a charm. So,
great.
Cell phone Wi-Fi calling definitely works better on it.
I actually got around to testing the U6, and I'm just doing a distance test and comparing it to our Linksys routers. And there's very, very little difference.
Difference on that? What about
very
speed?
Little difference in performance. And in terms of just raw signal strength. Now that doesn't, this is, not just taking the standard settings, no mu MIMO, nothing, just setting it up and just plugging it in, and then just going to various troubled locations, behind stone walls, things like, stone stuff like this. But there's the Linksys is better on 2.4 than the U6. And the U6 seems to do, and that's because I think of the antenna display. But anyway, I just throw this out for your.
Okay, so you're walking around with your laptop as a test device.
Yeah, I mean, I did distance tests. Not that would be a challenge or somewhat of a challenge.
With a laptop.
With a laptop. I mean, it's 100 milliwatts of power. You can only get unless you have an antenna with a lot of gain, you won't really, I would have been surprised if there was any significant difference. And there really isn't, except that the Linksys is better on 2.4 and the U6 is a little bit better on 5.
Oh yeah, well, I couldn't get phone calls down by my mailbox. I tried it again today. So
Yeah.
For my iPhone, it definitely does wonders. And Wi-Fi 6 is definitely better than I mean, whatever Linksys was, it's not Wi-Fi
Sure.
6. So therefore, it's an earlier. It's not as this is like.
Well, the U6 has significantly better computer horsepower inside of it, digital horsepower inside of it than it, just because it's much more expensive, more recent design, all the rest of it. So they're using a processor, probably made by,
So Jim, you saw higher speeds on your speed tests, right? And you must have.
Well, I wasn't checking so much speed. I was checking signal strength. The speeds, the speeds are probably going to be better. In any case, I just wanted to see whether it did any better on its, because it builds. I'm sorry to get so technical, but the antennas are built into that case, and that was a real shortcoming of the older KLX router, which it just didn't utilize, and its built-in antennas very effectively, because that you really could see the difference between the Linksys and the older KLX routers. But this router seems to have solved that problem, and they've worked something out, both with the computational horsepower within the router itself, plus the antennas, how they're arranging the antennas within the case itself. So that was my conclusion.
Oh, it's always good to see 30% more speed, and that's what I was doing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it does it better. It has more horsepower, and which is what you'd expect from a router that is much newer and far more expensive.
Right. Well, our next router will be Wi-Fi 6, so so
that's what's important.
And our institutions would be well served by a Wi-Fi 6 router. And therefore, I would still suggest we propose 25 new routers, and
sure.
we can.
I vote for that.
No. Seconded.
Okay. Sorry to bore you, but get all this tech talk, but
that is okay. So let's see. I'm just thinking we may need to have a little interim meeting to pull together a proposal before the deadline for ARPA, right? If it really is the 4th, what is it? The July 1st. Yeah. So that's a Friday. So it's a little over 2 weeks from now. So why don't we just wait and see how this all comes together of getting the estimate, and then we can call a meeting within 48 hours, or we can.
For other committees, Gail, it's often the solution has been just to designate one person as point person on making the proposal. I would make you the point person, of course, and because there's nothing. Well, I suppose if I guess your point would be, if the cost of the trenching is immense, then we might not want to even do it. Is that there's the decision, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of after we get that estimate to figure out if we want to move forward with it. So
I also think that deadline is the select board deadline is very flexible, because it's going to take a while for people to kind of figure out what to do, and their deadline, they just want to get something in their hand, and whether it comes in July 1st or a week or even a month later probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference, because this is a slow moving process, the ARPA money, that is. That will take some time to sort of sort out.
All right. Well, let's see how far we can get with the estimate process.
Okay, yeah. good.
And if it starts coming down to the wire, I can just whip up a quick letter to the select board saying, hey, here's what we're thinking. And this is our estimate of the estimate cost.
Mhm, mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
let us know if
Sure.
this is something that you'd be into and, you know,
Yeah,
worthwhile to
yeah.
pursue.
Because July 1st is the date they want the email with this, because they're meeting on July 5th to
Right.
discuss this. So, yeah, they may not make the decision. They may ask for more from on July 5th meeting. They might say, could you get us more information about this or that? But I think we should have something to them by that July 5th meeting, because,
Yeah.
you know, everybody else is going to have their request in, and to come in later, you know, would cut us down in our, I think our chances of
Yeah.
getting anywhere.
You want a placeholder, don't you, Steve?
What?
You want a placeholder.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Oh, the carpooling. Carpooling, that's right. So on Tuesday, June 28th is our big day out at South Hadley Gas and Electric, starting at,
Field trip.
yeah, our field trip,
That's it.
our group field trip, starting at 10:30 to approximately 3 p.m. It is, how long was it? About an hour drive down there. Let me type in the address.
Wouldn't take an hour.
Directions. I'll do it from the town hall. Oh yeah, it's okay. It's less than an hour, but we should allow an hour to
Sure.
get there, you know, on time. So if we carpool, we need to get there at 10:30 so we could convene at the town hall at 9:30.
Sounds good.
So I've got a ratty little Corolla, but I'm willing to drive to Sheld.
All right.
I've got my Subaru Outback. I'm willing to drive to Shell.
All right. I have a Volkswagen Tiguan. It's not large, but it works.
We can look at what's we can vote when we see the
Yeah.
vehicles. I will pull my mousetrap bucket out of the back seat just in
I
case.
appreciate no dead rodents
Yeah.
for a trip.
Yeah, no
That's
dead
nice.
rodents
That's a
and
nice.
mousetraps.
Yeah, and I don't want to be in the back seat with the mouse.
Yeah.
Mouse, yeah,
Worried
with the
about
dead mice. Yeah,
where I sat or where, yeah, well, I'd be worried about where I sat or where I put.
Yeah.
it can be a little it can be a little touch and go. Yeah. So.
Well, Graham's Corolla is better than my Corolla. It's newer. So.
That's true.
I'm
it's all-
just gonna say that Steve or Gail will drive.
Oh yeah.
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 And
All
Jim,
right.
you've got chainsaws in the back of your Corolla.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, gasoline, just, bar and chain oil, you probably wouldn't want to sit next to that.
Yeah.
And Graham, what I can do is I can walk over to your house to save
All
as
right.
an environmentally sound thing to
Flip
do.
that one as
so.
well. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could drive past your house, don't worry.
Okay,
Even though you're
all right.
willing to walk. So okay. All right, we can work out those details, but we'll leave the town hall one way or the other around 9:30. Sounds good.
Right.
Yep. So I'll send out this reminder about our carpool and also a reminder for everyone to vote before or after our excursion. I will send that out on Friday, the 24th.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Super. I think that's it.
Okay, next
So
meeting date is, next regular meeting date be the 20th. July.
Yep. Yep, and oh geez, do I need to post our meeting at Sheld?
You will,
think I
because
do.
because otherwise we won't be able to talk about anything except the weather.
Yes, yep, okay. All right, I'm going to do that right now then.
Okay, yeah, no,
All
that's a
right,
good point.
post.
And Gail, do you think it's at all likely we may need any special meetings due to the transition?
I don't think so. I just because I don't think that there's anything really that the board can do, and we've already made all the decisions.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll I'll certainly call one if something's needed, but I don't foresee that.
Good.
Um,
Okay. And so we might have a meeting about this ARPA proposal, but
I don't think we need one. We're all agreed, we're gonna try it. We'll get as much information that we can. If we don't have
Yeah.
enough, we will make up an estimate and
Yeah.
submit something by the 1st to the select board.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the plan.
okay,
Okay,
good.
Okay,
Cool. Okay, see you all
Okay.
at the end of the month.
sounds
good.
good.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.